Hey everybody, Dr. Tom over the Active Healing Center. We are back to Mobility Monday, and we are going to stay up tall, up top today, talking about that forward head posture. We put so much emphasis on this in our office. It is critical. It is really critical to get this fixed in your body. It is so important because of the amount of compressive force being jammed onto your spine, onto your physical structure when that is not sitting correctly. So last week, we were talking about everybody coming into our office is locked up in here. The shoulders are rounded forward. All right, so we're real tight through the chest muscles up top here. We're real weak in these upper back muscles. Everything's locked forward here. We talked about building, getting those shoulders upright, decreasing restriction in these muscles, building some strength and mobility into these upper back muscles, and retraining your nervous system to engage and get these muscles and that shoulder girdle all working correctly. But that's all for naught if we don't get this fixed up top here. We need to get that head position back on track. So we put so much emphasis on this because of the simple reason of how much compressive force your head will place on the rest of your spine. So there's four major compressive forces being placed on your spine: your head, chest, belly, butt, and hips. Well, those are the four major compressive forces on your spine, your weight-bearing joints for that matter. So the biggest one that we put the emphasis on is the head position. Your head on average weighs 12 to 15 pounds. And you get to that number, basically, it's 7.5% of your overall body weight. So do the math on how much your head approximately weighs. But what we want is, if their head is supposed to weigh 12 pounds, we want your head to weigh approximately 12 pounds. So for every inch, once we start to drop forward, everything starts to come forward. For every inch my head moves forward out from the center of my shoulders and the center of my spine, for every inch, you can basically double the amount of compressive force on your spine. So a 12-pound head basically is going to start to weigh approximately 24 pounds. And I always ask this question to people I'm talking to is, do you think having a 24-pound weight sitting on top of your spine, do you think that's going to cause problems? Do you think that's possibly why you have headaches all the time? It's because you have that massive amount of force being placed on your spine. Go ahead and pick up a 25-pound dumbbell. And that's the amount of force being jammed through not only the joints of your neck and your upper spine, but all the way down to your lower spine. So it's imperative, and I can't stress that enough, it's imperative to get that fixed. So we put a lot of emphasis on getting that back on track. So again, when we start looking at, when we always talk mobility, the three major components that we're looking at are the restriction, decreasing restriction, releasing the tight muscles. Then we're going to add the stretch component, and then we're going to add the mobility component to start to reset your nervous system to relearn better motion and better positioning in there. So let's start talking decreasing restriction into your neck and these upper shoulder and upper back muscles here. When we're talking these muscles back in here, this is where it does get a little tricky when we're talking about releasing those muscles. It's not as easy as when we were talking into your hips. You use foam rollers, into your shoulder and these chest muscles. We were up against the wall with the peanut, the tennis ball in there. It was a little easier to hit those spots. It's a little harder to get into this. It's hard to foam roll your neck. I don't have a problem with people trying to foam roll into the neck. I do it all the time, but it's not overly effective for those neck muscles. It's just not enough mass in this area so that the amount of weight or pressure being placed on the foam roller isn't all that effective in releasing that area. So this is where tools really come into play. And you can take a handheld tool, put some oil or lotion on that area and just get into these muscles. Now, the inherent problem with trying to work your own neck is once I go up into this position here, I'm engaging all these muscles. So if I'm trying to release a muscle, well, I don't want it to be engaged unless we're doing a specific type of active release method on it or movement. But if I'm trying to release it, I'd rather it to be as relaxed as we can get. It's why there's an old saying, done is better than perfect. So it may not be perfect, but we can still create an effective way of releasing that area. So we can use, if you have a massage therapist, this is where it comes in real handy to just have a massage therapist really get in there and work that. But if we're doing something on a daily basis, you're probably not going to go out and get massages on a daily basis. So a tool, use a tool to get in there and start driving that restriction out of that area. these muscles in the back of the neck. You can even get into the muscles up in top here, where your skull and your spine and neck come together. Those are critical areas to start to release. When we work these areas on our patients here, that is a highly sensitive, tender area, just because all the tension that's being placed on it. So once our head starts to drop forward, all these muscles back in here, they're constantly working. They are never getting a chance to relax. So that where it ties into your skull, right up into here, that just becomes a really sensitive, really tender spot. So you can get into those areas and work that out as much as you can. It's hard to inflict pain on yourself, I understand that, but those are in critical areas to really work out. So a tool to get in there, work right up against where your skull and these neck muscles come together. You can drive that a little bit of pressure into there. So using a tool, a massage release tool, you can try using a peanut or a tennis ball, getting into those areas. But really, probably the best tool we could tell you is, one of these handheld tools. So in my office, it's this percussion type. This one uses a lot of vibration in there to start to release those muscles. But percussion tools are a hot item right now. You have the TheraBody, which is now called. It's not the TheraGun, it's a TheraBody, but you have the tools like that drive that percussion force in there. So that is a great way to really release those muscles in there. And I'm not asking you to crush these areas. Just hit it for 30 seconds to a minute, a minute and a half, somewhere in that nature, just to get that muscle to release in there. So the second component then would be to start stretching this stuff out. So the stretches for the neck become real simple. You just stay nice and tall. And if I'm stretching the right side of these neck and shoulder muscles, we just reach over with my left hand. We're just pulling over. All right, we're gonna pull over. Key to these stretches are to stay tall. Because once we start to drop forward, if we let our shoulders start to round, let the head start to come forward, we start to change some of the areas that we're hitting in there. So you want to stay nice and tall, hit into these muscles over here. Then if I'm going to drive in, get some stretch into these muscles where your neck and shoulder blade tie in together, what we're going to do is rotate the head about 45 degrees towards your left shoulder, your left armpit area, and you're just going to pull your head right into your chest. Basically, like you're pulling your chin right into your armpit. Again, the goal is to stay nice and tall through this, and don't let the head start to drop forward. You come through and just pull down into that, and let that stretch out all through here. Again, with these stretches, 30 to 40 seconds, you're hitting both sides. If it's a real tight area, we're gonna hit it a couple times. So stretch the right side, we're going head to the left, just dropping basically ear to shoulder, and we're going to pull over. We're going to hit into these more of the back of the neck muscles where they tie into your shoulder blade up top. So ties in from your neck, your skull, right into the shoulder blade area. You're just turning to a 45-degree angle, and you're pulling chin down into your armpit. 30, 40 seconds. So we've released it. Those are some stretches you can do, both sides, always. And then the third component then becomes, mobility, getting some motion in there. And we use chin tucks as one of the great ways of getting that head position back on track. So, and everybody loves chin tucks. Not really. But it is a great movement to do to really start to engage these front neck muscles. So when we're talking mobility, what's happening is we're losing proper balance. We're creating these imbalances within our body. So when the head comes forward, what happens is these muscles back here, they're constantly stretched, constantly under tension. Constantly under tension. They're constantly working. And what happens then, their opposing muscles, these front neck muscles, they never get a chance to relax. So we create that imbalance. That's what allows that head position to drop forward. So we need to engage these front neck muscles. So we do chin tucks. You go right up against the wall, back to the wall, head to the wall, which is most important. The head to the wall, shoulders to the wall, your butt to the wall. And I like to get the arms in, palms out up against the wall as well. Palms moving forward so that you're basically pinching the shoulder blades, squeezing the shoulder blades a little bit, trying to pinch them together. And then the movement is a basic tuck of the chin. So you're taking the chin and you're pulling it straight back. So you're not bringing the eyes down, you're not going up. The eyes are staying nice and level, and you're just pulling that chin straight in so you get that double chin look going on in there. Well, that's what we want. We want to get these muscles engaged, make these front neck muscles work, because that's what's necessary to help keep you upright and balanced. So the three main, you're going to do about 15 to 20 of these. So you pull it in, you're going to hold it for a second or two and release. But when you release, your head still stays against the wall. So the back of the head still is against the wall. Tuck, hold for a couple seconds, release. Head stays to the wall the whole time. Little pinch of the shoulder blades. We could add another component to that movement. We can save that for another day, because this is what's primary importance, is getting this stuff working up top here. So three main components: releasing it. Use a tool to help release these muscles. Minute and a half in there, work that area out. We're going to stretch it with stretches to the side, get into these back of the neck muscles, little angle of the head. 30 to 40 seconds on those stretches. And the third component there is the movement, the mobility, kind of resets the brain, the nervous system, to start to relearn proper movement and positioning. And that's what we're going to use the chin tuck for. If you have any questions, please give us a call. If you're doing these and you notice an exacerbation of any symptoms or significant tightness, restriction in these areas, give us a call. Something may be in there that needs to be looked at, needs to get worked on a little more thoroughly to allow these procedures to be more effective. So if you have any problems, give us a call. That's what we're here for. Take care.